sure we had celebrations like this before, right? So it's there's nothing wrong with celebrating our armed forces.
My dad was an Army
That's
veteran,
World War II.
passed away from Parkinson's from the Army, and so it was kind of big. I went on the honor flight with him. It was nice to bring my son to see Washington, D.C. and to be able to see the parade.
Why do you think it's important to celebrate this occasion, the 250th anniversary of the founding of the Army?
If we didn't have an Army, we wouldn't be here, keeping us free.
We're from a Navy town, and we have Fleet Week, so the Navy celebrates theirs. So this is just the Army is the oldest.
What happened to audio?
Wow. That's a beautiful sight, and it's a beautiful sight to be with you in a place called Fort Bragg. Can you believe they changed that name in the last administration for a little bit? But we'll forget all about that. We're going to forget all about it. I want to just say God bless the U.S. Army and God bless the USA. Great place, great group. I want to thank so many incredible soldiers and paratroopers, pilots, warriors for that awesome display of pure, unrivaled American military might. I just saw something that was crazy. You don't want to mess. I've been saying a long time, we have the best. Nobody even comes close, but they just gave me a display that you might be lucky not to see it, because it's a little scary. It was beautiful to watch. Let's hear it for the Army Special Operations and Command and the 82nd Airborne Division and the 18th Airborne Corps. What a show it was, and what a show it continues to be. And Saturday is going to be a big day in Washington, D.C. You know, a lot of people say, we don't want to do that. I say, yeah, we do. We want to show off a little bit. You know, recently, other countries celebrated the victory of World War I. France was celebrating, really. They were all celebrating. The only one that doesn't celebrate is the USA, and we're the ones that won the war. Without us, you'd all be speaking German right now. Maybe a little Japanese thrown in. But we won the war. We don't celebrate, but we're going to celebrate on Saturday, and we're going to celebrate from now on. We're going to celebrate our greatness and our achievements. This week, we honor 250 years of valor and glory and triumph by the greatest fighting force ever to walk the face of the earth, the United States Army. For 2.5 centuries, our soldiers have marched into the raging fires of battle and obliterated America's enemies. There's never been anything like it. There's never been a force like this. And I rebuilt it. I gave you so much money for 4 years. It was crazy. And we just approved our largest budget for military operations, over $1 trillion. We've never even come close. But our army has smashed foreign empires, humbled kings, toppled tyrants, and hunted terrorist savages through the very gates of hell. Our soldiers do not rest until they win. You know that better than anybody. From June 1775 to June 2025, those foolish enough to challenge America's army have been met with unyielding strength, unbreakable spirit, and unstoppable, overwhelming force. Time and again, our enemies have learned that if you dare to threaten the American people, American soldier will chase you down, crush you, and cast you into oblivion. That's what happens, unfortunately. Doesn't sound very nice, but it's true, isn't it? The last sound you ever hear will be the dueling howl of Black Hawks in the dead of night, the thunderous boom of artillery fire, or the ferocious ferocious roar of a U.S. Army infantry brigade charging over the horizon. That brigade is going to charge like you've never seen before. And hopefully I can keep you out of that. But if I don't, you're ready. Is that right? If I can keep you out of it. If I keep you out of it, that's okay. But if we need it, you're ready. You know, it's called peace through strength, isn't it? Peace through strength. For our adversaries, there's no greater fear than the United States Army. They all fear us, and we have the greatest force anywhere on earth. You know, you read different stories that others are building and building and building. We have a force like no other. They said it would take 5 years to defeat ISIS. We did it in 4 weeks. 4 weeks. We let them go. Unlike other of your leaders, I let them go. And we had General Raisin Kane, who's now the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, because I liked him. He was a warrior. He was a great warrior. And now he's been rewarded for his incredible work. But they said it would take 5 years, and we did it in 4 weeks. Someday I'm going to ask him to explain that one to me. But it was the television generals that said that. The real generals got out and fought. And at the White House, to incredibly brave people. But you have 70% of them, Army soldiers, and especially our Army paratroopers. You think this crowd would have showed up for Biden? I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I want to thank so many great leaders here today, including Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, who's been great. By the way, Pete, thank you. And he went through the wars, you know? Pete went through the wars. He had to get through a very hostile group of people that I think really don't want to see America be great again, maybe, or something. But he persevered, and he got there, and he's doing a fantastic job. Great job, Pete. Thank you very much. Secretary of Veterans Affairs, Doug Collins, a fantastic man. Thank you, Doug. You're doing a great job. Doing a great, great job. Way, way up from the last administration, Veterans Administration. It's way up. You saw the recent poll. The people are happy. They weren't happy a couple of years ago. They were really happy 5 years ago. But it went downhill from there. We did so much. We got you medical. If you had to wait, if you had to delay at all, you go out to see a private doctor. We pay the bill. You take care of it. You don't wait for 6 months and end up getting very sick on something that could have been done with a little shot or a pill. We did that. Then they wanted to drop that. I said, we're not dropping it. But Doug, I'm proud of you. I just heard some great things. Thank you very much. The Secretary of the Army, a really brilliant young guy, went to Yale. Can't have everything. Top student, Dan Driscoll. Thank you. Thank you, Dan. And we have your senators, Senator Ted Budd and Senator Tom Tillis. Thank you, fellas. Congressman Richard Hudson, Pat Harrigan. Where's Pat? Pat? Good. Thank you, General. Doing a great job. General Andrew Pappas. General, thank you. Thank you, General. Doing a great job. General John Braja. John, thank you. Great job. Thank you for today, John. General Greg Anderson. Thank you. Thank you, Greg. Thank you. Sergeant Major of the Army, Michael Weimer. And before going further, I want to say a few words about the situation in Los Angeles, California. Have you heard of the place? Where I've deployed thousands of National Guard troops and hundreds of Marines to protect federal law enforcement from the attacks of a vicious and violent mob. And some of the radical left, they say, oh, that's not nice. Well, if we didn't do it, there wouldn't be a Los Angeles. It'd be burning today, just like their houses were burning a number of months ago. Generations of Army heroes did not shed their blood on distant shores only to watch our country be destroyed by invasion and third world lawlessness here at home, like is happening in California. As Commander-in-Chief, I will not let that happen. It's never going to happen. What you're witnessing in California is a full-blown assault on peace, on public order, and on national sovereignty carried out by rioters bearing foreign flags with the aim of continuing a foreign invasion of our country. We're not going to let that happen. Remember, millions of people were allowed to come into our country totally unchecked and unvetted by stupid people or radical left people or sick people. But regardless, open border policy, the dumbest policy yet. I would say even dumber than men playing in women's sports, transgender for everyone. Even dumber than that. They're hurling bricks and cinder blocks at law enforcement. Did you see they're breaking up the sidewalks and the curbs, breaking it up with big, strong hammers? These guys are professionals. These are not amateurs. They're breaking it up because they took the bricks away from them. They came in with bricks, red bricks, that they could throw at our military and at the police in LA, who are very good, but they weren't aggressive like our soldiers. Our soldiers really were aggressive, but they all worked together. But they came in with bricks, they were taken away, and they had hammers. Oh, wow, how did that happen? And they're pounding the sidewalk. I said, what the hell is he doing? And he's breaking it up and making it into concrete bombs in a way, and they're dropping them on our military. They're throwing them at our military. Pretty good arms they had, too. Hits guys right in the face. Big chunk of concrete, worse than a brick. They're taking them up to the bridges, and they're dropping them in the cars that are going by. These are animals. But they proudly carry the flags of other countries, but they don't carry the American flag. They only burn it. Did you see a lot of the flags being burned? They weren't being burned by people from our country or from people that love our country. People that burn the American flag should go to jail for 1 year. That's what they should be doing. 1 year. And we'll see if we can get that done. We're going to try and get that done. We're working with some of your senators. I know Senator Josh Hawley is very much involved. And I know the two senators from here. I think you guys, are you guys in favor of it? Boy, would this be a bad time for them to say no. I got you. I got those two votes. The agitators are throwing firebombs, Molotov cocktails, lighting vehicles ablaze. You saw all the cars that were burning, mobbing police officers and ICE officers who are the toughest people you'll ever meet, and they love our country, and they're getting really they want to stomp on them, but they're too tough. They don't allow it. And attempting to infiltrate and occupy federal buildings wearing armor and face shields. The best money can buy, somebody's financing it. We're going to find out through Pam Bondi and Department of Justice who it is. They're already on it. Who's financing all this equipment? Very professional. Under the Trump administration, this anarchy will not stand. We will not allow federal agents to be attacked, and we will not allow an American city to be invaded and conquered by a foreign enemy. That's what they are. A lot of those people were let in here by the Biden administration. They just poured right in. They came from prisons. They came from jails from all over the world. They came from mental institutions. They were the leaders of gangs. They were drug lords allowed to come into our country. Their countries threw them out. Their countries would bus them or drive them right to our border and say, go in there. You ever come back, we're going to kill you. And we got them, and we're getting them out of here. I want to applaud the courage and the strength of the incredible troops who are right now standing guard to protect federal property and personnel and uphold the supremacy of federal law. That's what they're doing. They're protecting our ICE agents. They're protecting the police in Los Angeles. The head of the police in Los Angeles, a good man, I hear a good man, but he was actually saying we really did need this help. It had gotten away from them. It had long gotten away. And we gave it to them. Not only are these service members defending the honest citizens of California, they're also defending our republic itself. And they are heroes. They're in there, they're heroes. They're fighting for us. They're stopping an invasion just like you'd stop an invasion. The big difference is most of the time when you stop an invasion, they're wearing a uniform. In many ways, it's tougher when they're not wearing a uniform because you don't know exactly who they are. In Los Angeles, the governor of California, the mayor of Los Angeles, they're incompetent. And they paid troublemakers, agitators, and insurrectionists. They're engaged in this willful attempt to nullify federal law and aid the occupation of the city by criminal invaders. That's what it is. They're invaders, no different. Their position is that the rioting will not stop unless ICE withdraws from Los Angeles and ceases the enforcement of federal immigration law. In other words, they came in here illegally. Many of them came out of prisons and jails, the most heinous people. They came from all over the world. They came from the Congo in Africa. They came from Asia. They came from the prisons of these places. They were put into the United States and allowed to stay here because we had a grossly unfit president who listened to
The
whoever was
United
operating
States
the auto
Army.
pen. And they allowed these people to stay. And by the way, I've known this guy for a long time. He was never the sharpest bulb. But you know what he was? He wasn't a radical left lunatic. He never dreamt about open borders. He never said that when he was of sound mind, which actually was a very long time ago. So sad what they've done to our country. I will say that without question, however, you're seeing the financial numbers. We've now got the hottest country anywhere in the world.
So
And
let me get
6
this
months ago, it was the
This
coldest country. We're
is
being laughed at all over the world. I was in Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE. We brought back $5.1 trillion into our country. And all three leaders, they're great leaders, all three said, you know, you are presiding over the hottest country anywhere in the world.
is
And they
not-
said the exact same
So let me
thing.
get
They
this
said
straight.
6 months ago,
This
it was the coldest
terrorism.
country. I'll tell you, it changed on a date.
this-
You know what November 5th was? It was the election of a president that loves you.
is not.
And that's when it
So
all
let me get this
changed.
straight.
That's when
This
it all
is
changed.
But this
Within the span of a few decades, Los Angeles has gone from being one of the cleanest, safest, and most beautiful cities on earth to being a trash heap with entire neighborhoods under the control of transnational gangs and criminal networks. It's horrible what's happened so quickly. As the entire world can now see, uncontrolled migration leads to chaos, dysfunction, and disorder. And you know what? They have it in Europe too. It's happening in many of the countries of Europe. They don't like it when I say it, but I'll say it loudly and clearly. They better do something before it's too late. Very simply, we will liberate Los Angeles and make it free, clean, and safe again. It's happening very quickly. The one big, beautiful bill, you've heard about it. We call it the one big, I was on one of the television shows, I think Deface the Nation. Ladies and gentlemen, Deface the Nation. It's actually called Face the Nation for those of you that are smart enough not to know, because you're better off not knowing. But I was on one of the shows, and I said, we got to get a great bill. They said, would you like it to be one bill, or would you like it to be 7 or 8 bills? They said, I want one big, beautiful bill. And the Republican Party liked that statement. They call it one big, beautiful bill. So that's good. And that's what it is. It's great. And it's currently before Congress. It provides all necessary funding for ICE, for Border Patrol, and for the Department of Defense. And I told you at a level that we've never had before, over $1 trillion. We better get that bill approved. Otherwise, your helicopters and your planes and your equipment's going to start to look a little bit old, General. You better push your favorite congressman. You better push these 2 senators. I think they're in good shape, however. But we got to get it approved. And those congressmen by you are all 100%. I don't even have to talk to them. They've been so great. So I want to sign this into law immediately. And with the signing, so many great things will happen to our country. No tax on tips. Think of that. No tax, seniors on Social Security. No tax on overtime. They're gonna pay for themselves. And if you get a car, and if you borrow money to buy the car, we're gonna let you deduct the interest payment if it's a new car made in America. Only if it's made in America. If it's made in Japan or China or any place else, we're not really interested in your deduction. I was elected winning all 7 swing states, the popular vote by millions and millions of votes in all counties throughout America by 2,750 to 525. That's what I call a big number. But this is a mandate from the people to restore the sovereign borders of the United States, and that is exactly what we're doing. Not only the borders, the financial institutions, and our country itself. We will not be deterred, and the mob in Los Angeles or anyone else, anywhere else, will not succeed. They don't even have a little chance. And I will be calling you early as I see this happening because, you know, in theory, I guess you could say a governor could call, but they don't call. They let their city burn, like in Minneapolis with this guy who ran for vice president against JD. That was a good debate, JD against this guy. Remember how bad he was? That was one of the, I said, JD, there's never been a man like you're competing against. This is the worst. I think he's running for president too, can you believe it? But he's a radical left lunatic, and I'll never forget in Minnesota, that city was burning down. Minneapolis was burning down. It was going to burn to the ground, and he wouldn't call the guard. And I waited for a long time, and I called the guard, and I saved it, but I wish I would have called it the first day. And I said, you know, if this ever happens again, because I was thinking about running because the election was rigged and stolen, we all know it. They said, we're going to run again, and if I win, I hope, remember, we're going to make it too big to rig. But we did. We won by millions and millions of votes. So beautiful to watch. That was such a beautiful, 9:02 in the evening. He said, ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump is projected to be the winner. I said, well, you think that was easy? I don't think these ladies from North Carolina think it was easy. You know, they followed me. I don't know what happened to their husbands. They're married to very nice people. But they've been to, 138 rallies? They said more. And they're from North Carolina. It's nice that we have one nearby finally, right? They go all over the country. I don't know what the hell's going on, but they're great. They're North Carolina, beautiful, wonderful woman, and we appreciate it. Like 130 rallies or some crazy number. Are your husbands satisfied with that? Are they okay? Oh, here he is. He showed up. One of them showed up. That's great. Congratulations. Great women, actually. The great patriots. We will use every asset at our disposal to quell the violence and restore law and order right away. We're not going to wait 7 days and 8 days and wait for a governor that's never going to call and watch cities burn. And let me tell you, if we didn't do this, Los Angeles would burn. It would be burning to the ground right now, just like their houses burned to the ground just a few months ago. And the only flag that will wave triumphant over the streets of Los Angeles is the American flag. So help me God. The American flag is the one that's going to wave triumphantly over the streets. And now let's get back to the true reason we're here today, celebrating 250 years of unbreakable Army courage. This week we commemorate not just the starting point in Army history, but a turning point in the history of the world. That's how important it is. When the Continental Congress created the Army and appointed its first commander, name happened to be George Washington. Has anybody heard of him? George Washington. Are you okay, darling? You all right? Yeah, take your time, please. Doctor, please. Doctor. Doctor in the house. Thank you. Thank you very much. These are great people. They've been waiting here a long time, General, so, you know, we want to give them all the time they need, right? Thank you very much. Greatest people in the world. They are amazing. Amazing. Oh, good. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, honey, thank you. Beautiful young person. Beautiful young person. We have a lot of young people, you know, they have We won young people, old people, and everything in between. It's sort of nice. Remember they used to say, but Trump doesn't have the young people. We won everything. Thank you very much, Doctor. Great job. When the Continental Congress created the Army and appointed its first commander, General George Washington, they sent the fierce spirit of a free nation into battle under a rallying cry that echoes to this day. Give me liberty or give me death. Have you heard of it? Quite a beautiful statement. Think of what that means. Give me liberty or give me death. I know exactly what that means. Just 3 days after the birth of the Army, the great patriot, founding father, Dr. Joseph Warren, was on the front lines as a soldiers stood totally outnumbered and outgunned at Bunker Hill. They had a group of soldiers against them that was supposed to be, in that day, unbeatable. Warren's mother had begged him, son, please don't do it. She said, please, please don't do it. Don't risk your life for even the patriot cause, please. And he replied, wherever danger is, dear mother, there your son will be. I will either set my country free or shed my last drop of blood to make us so beautiful. So the words are so beautiful. At Bunker Hill, Warren kept his vow, fighting and fighting and fighting and loving his country until he fell, drenched in blood, and gave his life at the very young age of 34. Exactly 250 years later, we are joined by Dr. Warren's great-great-great-great-grandson. And it's 7 generations down. And now an Iraq War veteran, retired Army specialist, Scott Warren, is here with his daughter, Sergeant E5 Carrington Sanders of Fort Irwin. I want to just, where are you? Where would you be in this big crowd? Thank you very much. What an honor. What an honor. You look great, too, by the way. You really look great. Thank you very much. What a great family. You carry in your veins the love and devotion of a martyr for American liberty. Please stand. Just put that hand up once more for the people, because they will. Thank you very much. You're looking good. Looking good. Good genes. Good genetics. Thank you both. Thank you very much. The life of a soldier is not just a job, it's a calling and a sacred tradition passed down from father to son, brother to sister, and one generation to the next. At every hour of danger, our noblest citizens have answered that call, kissed their loved ones goodbye, and run to the sound of guns. You run to the sound of guns, you're running right into them, you're going to win. When the British tried to reconquer our young nation in 1812, 1,000 Americans at Fort McHenry fought off a British invasion fleet, 5,000 strong. They say it was unstoppable. Lieutenant Francis Scott Key, you all heard the name, watched from Baltimore Harbor as the Army kept Old Glory flying high. Many people died. Deeply inspired, he wrote a poem in tribute to Army courage and American pride, known today as the Star-Spangled Banner, or our national anthem. Great. 8 generations later, we're joined by a descendant of Francis Scott Key, who has spent 2 decades in uniform, Major Kyle Key of Army National Guard fame. Please, Major, where are you, Major?
Hi, I'm Susan Lucci. You may know me from my many years